The Love That Never Died. Part 2. The Ghostly Connection. Hazel wasn't sure when the dreams stopped feeling like dreams. Every time she closed her eyes, Ethan was there, his voice urgent, his warnings sharper, the details of the night he died growing more vivid. And when she woke up, shaking and drenched in sweat, she could still feel him, hear him, as if his presence lingered in the very air around her. But it wasn't just the dreams anymore. During the day, strange things began to happen. Her phone would buzz with calls from unknown numbers, only for the line to go silent when she answered. The old clock in the living room, one that hadn't worked in years, suddenly started ticking again. And then there was the rose. The single white rose she'd found in the hallway hadn't been a one-time thing. She began finding them everywhere, in her car, on her desk at work, even on her bedside table one morning. She didn't own white roses. She had no idea where they were coming from. She tried to tell herself it was all a coincidence, some cruel prank or her mind playing tricks on her. But deep down, she knew better. Ethan was trying to reach her. And if he was right, if his death wasn't an accident, then someone out there didn't want her to know the truth. The dreams grew more intense. One night, Hazel found herself back in the field, the sky above her dark and heavy with storm clouds. Ethan stood in the distance, his figure flickering like an old film reel. She ran to him, her breath hitching as she saw the anguish in his face. "Ethan," she said, reaching for him, "please just tell me what happened. I need to know." His eyes locked onto hers, and for a moment she thought she saw tears in them. "It's not that simple, Hazel. You're in danger. The closer you get to the truth, the closer they'll get to you." "Who?" she demanded. "Who are they? Who did this to you?" Ethan hesitated, his jaw tightening. "I don't know who planned it, but I know this." He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "It was someone close to us, someone you trust." The wind roared around them, and Hazel's heart sank. Someone she trusted? Her mind immediately went to Claire, her best friend, who had been distant and evasive ever since Ethan's death. But it could also be James, Ethan's older brother, who had been acting strange in the weeks leading up to the accident. Or maybe it was someone else entirely, someone she hadn't even considered. "Hazel," Ethan said, pulling her from her thoughts. "You have to be careful. They're watching you." Before she could ask him what he meant, the ground beneath her feet began to shake, and the storm clouds above split apart. Ethan's form began to fade, his voice echoing in the chaos. "Find the truth, Hazel," he said one last time, "but trust no one." Hazel woke up with a start, her heart racing. Her bedroom was dark, the only light coming from the faint glow of her phone on the nightstand. She reached for it, her hand trembling, and checked the time. 3:33 a.m. Her phone buzzed in her hand, and she nearly dropped it. A new text message had appeared on the screen. "Stop asking questions." Her blood ran cold. She stared at the message, her mind whirling. Who was sending these? How did they know what she was doing? Hazel's phone buzzed again, and this time it was a photo. She opened it with shaky fingers, her stomach dropping when she saw what it was. It was a picture of her sitting at her kitchen table, taken from outside the window. She dropped the phone, her breath coming in short, shallow gasps. Someone had been watching her. Someone had been in her yard, maybe just a few feet away, while she sat inside, completely unaware. She bolted out of bed, her heart pounding. She moved through the house, checking the locks on every door and window. Everything was secure, but it didn't make her feel any safer. Whoever had taken that photo was still out there. As she stood in the living room, staring out into the dark yard beyond the window, she felt a sudden chill. It wasn't just the kind of chill you get from an open window or a draft. It was deeper, colder, and it settled into her bones like ice. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice barely audible. The air around her seemed to shift, and for a moment she thought she heard his voice. "You need to leave, now." The next morning, Hazel decided to take action. She couldn't ignore Ethan's warnings any longer. If his death wasn't an accident, if someone had really killed him, then she needed to find out who and why. She started with the police report. It had been thorough, but as she read through it again, she noticed a few inconsistencies. Witnesses had reported seeing a second car near the scene of the crash, but the police had dismissed it as unrelated. And then there was the mechanic's report on Ethan's car. The brakes had failed, but no one had ever explained why. Hazel called the mechanic, a gruff man named Frank, and asked him about the report. At first, he was reluctant to talk, but when she mentioned Ethan's name, his tone softened. "Look," he said, "I don't know what to tell you. The brakes were cut, clear as day, but the cops didn't want to hear it. Said it was probably just wear and tear. But I've been doing this a long time, and I know sabotage when I see it." Hazel's grip tightened on the phone. "Why didn't anyone follow up on this?" Frank sighed. "I don't know, lady. Sometimes things just get buried." Buried. The word sent a shiver down her spine. That night, Hazel lay awake in bed, her mind racing. Ethan had been right. There was more to his death than she'd been told. But who had sabotaged his car, and why? Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, and she grabbed it, expecting another message from an unknown number. But this time, it was an email. The subject line read, "I know what you're looking for." Her heart skipped a beat as she opened it. The email contained no text, just a single attachment, a video file. She hesitated, her finger hovering over the screen. Something about this felt wrong. But her curiosity got the better of her, and she tapped the file to play it. The video was grainy, like it had been filmed on an old security camera. It showed a dark road, illuminated by the faint glow of headlights. Hazel's stomach dropped as she recognized the scene. It was the road where Ethan had crashed. In the video, a figure emerged from the shadows, walking toward the car. The figure bent down near the front of the vehicle, and though the footage was blurry, Hazel could see what they were doing. They were cutting the brake lines. The video ended abruptly, leaving Hazel staring at the black screen. Her hands shook as she replayed the footage, trying to make out the figure's face. But it was no use, the image was too distorted. Her phone buzzed again, and another message appeared on the screen. "You're closer than you think." Hazel's blood ran cold. She didn't know who was behind this or what they wanted, but one thing was clear. They were watching her. And they weren't going to stop until she stopped looking for the truth. End of part 2.